Ladies and gentlemen, when you are constantly available, others begin to take your presence for granted. They come to expect your time, energy, care, and kindness as something guaranteed rather than as a choice you offer. The reality is, if you never step back, if you never let others feel your absence, they may never recognize your true value. Creating distance can build respect. It may sound direct, but it is both practical and necessary. We are often conditioned to stay connected, respond quickly, and always be present for others. In that cycle, we forget that we have the right and the need to create space. When you are always the one reaching out, initiating, and showing up, you become predictable. Over time, people may stop noticing or appreciating your effort. Even with good intentions, you risk fading into the background. Yet the moment you stop overextending, things change. People notice. At first they may not understand. They might wonder why you have not called, checked in, or stepped forward. Soon though, they begin to feel the space you once filled. In that quiet, awareness grows. When you are always present, people rarely question your importance. But when you step back, it gives them a chance to reflect, and reflection often brings recognition. They recall your support, consistency, loyalty, and energy. This awareness may be the first time they fully grasp your impact. This is not about playing games or withholding care to gain attention. It is about setting boundaries. It is about remembering that your presence is a privilege, not an obligation others can assume will always be there. You choose to share it, and if it goes unnoticed, you must be willing to withdraw. Allowing others to miss you teaches them that you will not overextend, that you will not stay in one-sided connections, and that your time and energy must be respected. More importantly, it teaches you that you are enough, even in stillness, without constantly giving, fixing, or proving. Those who truly value you will notice your absence, reach out, and make an effort. The rest will fade away, and that too is clarity. You no longer need to wonder where you stand. You no longer need to pursue those who only see you when you are convenient. Allowing others to miss you filters distractions and reveals what is genuine. It reminds you that strength does not come from being everywhere for everyone, but from knowing your worth even without constant acknowledgement. If you feel drained, overlooked, or undervalued, take a step back, speak less, do less, and turn inward. Stop explaining, stop proving, and watch what happens. Let the silence speak. Let your absence show what words cannot. When you allow others to miss you, you teach the world to value you. And remind yourself that you were never meant to be overlooked. You were meant to be remembered. At times, the strongest message you can give is no message at all. Silence feels unsettling for many, and that is where its strength lies. In a world overflowing with constant noise, messages, notifications, opinions, and explanations, words often lose their weight. People hear, but they do not always listen. Silence interrupts that pattern. It makes others pause, reflect, and reconsider. Silence encourages thought and draws attention. Choosing it, not as punishment or out of anger, but as an act of self-respect, helps you reclaim your energy. You stop pouring effort into conversations where your voice goes unheard. You stop trying to prove your worth to those unwilling to recognize it. In that quiet, something powerful happens. People notice more than when you spoke endlessly. Constant explaining and justifying drains power while silence restores it. It shifts the balance. Instead of chasing understanding, you allow your absence to speak. You step away from noise and create room for perspective. Silence also brings clarity. It removes you from emotional chaos and helps you respond with intention rather than habit. You begin to observe instead of react. You notice patterns. You see who acknowledges your silence and who ignores it. You learn who reaches out when you are no longer constantly available. That insight matters. It guides wiser choices, protects your energy, and reminds you that not every situation requires your words, not every disagreement deserves your defense, and not every connection warrants endless effort. Some things are better left unanswered. Some people are better left wondering, not from indifference, but from respect for your own limits. In this way, silence becomes a boundary. It communicates that your strength does not depend on constant engagement. It affirms that your worth is not tied to over-explaining, and that you value peace over conflict. When you stop giving others immediate access to your reactions or forgiveness, they are left with their own reflections. They may find themselves asking, Why is there no reply? Why has there been distance? That pause often sparks growth for them and for you. Silence also safeguards dignity. There are times when no words will change someone's perspective. There are moments when continuing only drains you further. In these situations, silence becomes the clearest declaration of self-respect. It quietly but firmly says, "I will not beg for basic respect." It signals you will feel my absence before you hear another explanation. This is especially important in relationships, personal, professional, or otherwise, where constant interaction has become expected. Choosing silence does not mean weakness. It means you understand the strength of restraint, the value of boundaries, and the power of presence without unnecessary words. When people grow used to you always responding, they begin to assume access is automatic. Silence interrupts that cycle. It makes them pause, reflect, and realize your presence is not guaranteed. The right people will not be unsettled by your silence. They will respect it. They will lean into it and reach out, not because you demanded it, but because they truly value you once your presence is no longer constantly available. So before explaining yourself again or replying only to keep the peace, ask whether silence may serve you better. Consider whether speaking is helping or only draining you. You are not required to answer every message, join every debate, or maintain conversations that exhaust you. Sometimes silence is the strongest choice. Sometimes it is the clearest truth. At times it is the only way to draw attention, because it allows others the space to finally see what they have overlooked: your worth. You are not here to chase validation. That is not your purpose, nor your identity. Still, it is easy to fall into the tiring pattern of seeking acknowledgement in every space, relationships, work, or online. It becomes a quiet question: if I am not recognized, did I do enough? That mindset is harmful because it ties your value to someone else's approval, a contest that can never be fully won. Validation, even when received, is temporary. One compliment, one thank you, one brief nod, and then it fades. Soon you begin searching for the next sign, the next voice to confirm you again. It becomes an endless cycle, and deep down you know it. When your worth relies on others' reactions, you hand over your power. Instead, let people miss you. Let them notice the silence. Let them feel the absence. That is when you reclaim your energy. That is when you stop bending yourself to be liked. Stop showing up in draining spaces, and stop doing things only to earn approval from those who never truly saw you. You are not here to prove you belong. You already do. You are not here to convince others you are enough. You already are. The habit of seeking validation often comes from what we were taught, whether in childhood, school, or damaging relationships. We learned that love had to be earned, that attention was a reward, that worth required performance or perfection. But that was never truth. It was someone else's belief system, and learning it does not mean you must live by it. Breaking that cycle means accepting that not everyone will like you. It means being at peace when misunderstood. It means walking away without closure. It means choosing silence over constant explanation. And while it is not always easy, it is always freeing. When you stop chasing validation, you are left with yourself. If much of your life has been spent meeting others' expectations, standing alone can feel overwhelming. Yet it is also the most powerful place to be, because in that space you see you never needed permission to feel whole. Allowing others to miss you is a quiet way of saying, I do not need constant approval to feel worthy. You trust that your value remains even when unrecognized. That kind of self-trust is rare and magnetic. People notice it. They respect it, even if they do not immediately understand it. You show others how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you constantly overextend for approval, you train people to value you only when you are giving. But when you act from self-worth without seeking return, you shift the dynamic. You become grounded, steady, and clear, and the right people are drawn to you not because you try to impress, but because you are authentic. This does not mean you stop caring, nor does it mean becoming detached. It means you care without tying your identity to another's reaction. You give love freely, but do not lose yourself in the process. You share your strengths, but do not hide them to make others comfortable. Let them miss you, not as a game, but as a reflection of your independence. You no longer depend on feedback to feel secure. Those who matter will recognize your worth even in your absence, and those who do not, let them go. You do not need to convince, chase, or perform. You only need to be yourself, because the moment you stop seeking validation is the moment you begin living from truth. And truth does not require applause. It stands quietly, firmly, and unshakably. Distance reveals impact. Only when you step away do people fully see what you brought into their lives. When you are always present, giving, supporting, showing up, your presence can be taken for granted. It is not always from neglect, but from familiarity. People grow used to what is consistent, and distance interrupts that pattern. In that interruption, clarity emerges. If you are always present, always involved, never allowing space, others cannot truly measure your value. You can tell them you care, you can list what you contribute, but words are not always enough. Sometimes awareness comes only through absence, not as manipulation but because space creates contrast, and contrast builds recognition. You notice how much light a candle gives only when it goes out. You only recognize peace after experiencing chaos, and you often do not grasp the weight of someone's presence until they are gone. Your energy, care, and support leave an imprint, but that imprint becomes clearer when you are not constantly filling the space. When you step back, the echo of what you gave grows louder. People remember how you made them feel, and that memory stays when you are no longer as present. Those feelings return as thoughts like, "I did not realize how much they contributed," or "I did not notice how good it felt to have them around." That realization builds respect and accountability. For distance to reveal your impact, you must release control. Resist the urge to always be the fixer, the pleaser, or the one smoothing over every issue. Be willing to step back even when it feels uncomfortable. It will feel uncomfortable, because part of you may worry. What if they do not notice? What if they do not care? The truth is, if your presence had no influence, your absence would not either. And if that is the case, it is not rejection, it is direction. It is insight you needed. Letting distance work also means letting go of the need to chase clarity through work. Sometimes stepping back provides answers. Conversation cannot. You see who reaches out when you are quiet. You see who values the relationship enough to bridge the gap. You see who was only around when you carried the weight. Some realizations may hurt, but they also free you from connections that were never balanced. They allow you to stop showing up in places that drain you. You do not need to prove your worth. You do not need to demand recognition. What you need is to remain still long enough for others to feel your absence. And if that absence does not matter to them, it is not failure, it is feedback. It shows you where your energy is valued and where it is not. When you step back, the right people step forward. They notice the difference, feel the change, and respond with effort. They reach out, they show up, and they make it clear that they value what you bring. Give yourself permission to create distance. Allow space to reveal the truth. Let it strengthen relationships that are meant to last and release the ones that are not. Distance not only highlights your impact, it clarifies your path. It shows you who aligns with your energy and who only benefits from it. Once you see this, you stop chasing and start choosing. You choose peace. You choose clarity. You choose yourself. Your time is a privilege, not a guarantee. The energy you give, the attention you offer, the presence you bring, they all carry value. They are not owed to everyone. The moment you see your time as a gift rather than an obligation, everything shifts. You stop overcommitting. You stop people-pleasing. You stop giving yourself to those who do not give back. Many of us were never taught to protect our time. We were taught to be agreeable, to be helpful, to always say yes. On the surface, these habits seem like strength, but when they cost you your peace, priorities, health, and goals, they become forms of self-abandonment. Your hours are limited. When they are spent entirely on meeting others' needs, nothing remains for yourself. Time becomes currency traded for approval instead of purpose. Your time is the most limited resource you hold. You can earn more money and meet new people, but once an hour is gone, it cannot be replaced. If someone treats your time as disposable, believe them, they are showing you how they value you. If they expect constant access without appreciation, you are right to step back. That is not selfish. It is necessary. It means you have stopped giving away parts of your life to people who only see you as convenient. You are no longer rushing to fix, to save, to explain, or to pause your life for someone else's short-term needs. That is not coldness. It is clarity. And clarity builds boundaries. When you value your time, you become more intentional. You ask, does this align with who I am becoming? Does this relationship support my growth? Is this something I truly want or something I feel pressured to do? That kind of honesty shifts life from reactive to deliberate. At first, people may not like it. They will notice you are less available. They will feel your absence, but that discomfort is part of the process. Let them adjust. If someone values you only when you overextend, that is not care, it is dependency. You are not here to be anyone's emotional crutch. Let them miss your time. Let them notice the gap. When you stop smoothing every edge, fixing every problem and showing up on demand, that is when appreciation develops. That is when awareness grows. That is when they realize your presence is not guaranteed. It is a choice you make daily, one that deserves respect. This is not about cutting people off. It is about being honest with yourself about what you can give. Your calendar reflects your value. The way you spend your time is the way you live your life. If you want a life of meaning, joy, and alignment, guard your hours as if they matter, because they do. Stop apologizing for needing space. The right people will respect it and draw closer. The wrong ones will fade. Either way, you win. Stop justifying your boundaries. Stop explaining your silence. You do not owe anyone your time simply because they ask for it. You owe it to yourself to use it wisely. You owe it to your goals, your peace, and your future. Your time is a privilege, and not everyone has earned the right to it. You do not need to chase people to keep them in your life. You do not need to beg to be loved, respected, or understood. The relationships that are truly meant for you will never require you to give up your dignity just to keep them alive. The right people will thrive in your presence and remain steady even when you need distance. But if you find yourself constantly proving your worth, working for attention, or fighting for a place in someone's life, that is not a relationship, it is a performance. And performance is not love, it is survival. One of the strongest choices you can make is to stop pursuing those who leave. Not out of anger, not as punishment, but because you finally understand, if someone can walk away without hesitation, they were never meant to stay. Let them go. Allow them to feel life without your constant presence. The right people will not disappear when challenges arise. They will stay, they will talk, they will grow alongside you. It is easy to believe you are not enough when someone pulls away. You start questioning your words, your actions, even your worth. But the truth is this: someone's inability to love you is not a reflection of your value but of their capacity. If they cannot meet you where you are, it is not your failure, it is their limitation. Do not shrink yourself just to make someone stay. Do not hold on to the possibility of who they might become. You deserve people who see you clearly as you are now, not only in some imagined future. The moment you stop chasing, you reclaim your power. You begin moving from self-worth, not desperation. You realize that silence can speak louder than persuasion, and walking away can be more loving than holding on. Sometimes the strongest decision is letting go of someone who cannot or will not love you as you need. Letting people leave is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the awareness that your energy is too valuable to spend on those who make you question your worth. Love should never be earned through sacrifice or silence. It should flow freely, equally, and with respect. You should never have to convince anyone to stay. If your presence is not enough, no effort will ever be. And those who truly value you will notice your absence. They will feel the space you once filled. Stop explaining why you are less available. Stop justifying your silence. Your time is not owed. It is yours to honor. You owe it to yourself, your peace, your growth, and your future. Your time is a privilege, and not everyone deserves access to it. You do not have to chase people to keep them in your life. You do not have to beg for love, respect, or understanding. The right relationships will never require you to sacrifice your dignity. The ones that matter will grow in your presence and remain steady, even when you need space. If you constantly feel the need to prove your worth, earn someone's time, or fight for a place in their life, that is not love, it is performance. Performance is survival, not connection. One of the strongest choices you can make is to stop pursuing those who walk away, not from anger but from clarity. If someone can leave without hesitation, they were never meant to stay. Let them go. Let them experience life without your constant presence. The right people do not leave when difficulties arise. They communicate, stay, and grow with you. Someone's inability to love you as you deserve is not a reflection of your worth, but of their capacity. If they cannot meet you where you are, it is not your failure, it is their limitation. Do not shrink yourself to make them stay. The moment you stop chasing, you reclaim your power. You move from self-worth, not desperation. You see that silence can be stronger than persuasion, and walking away can have more impact than holding on. At times, the greatest act of care is letting go of someone who cannot love you the way you need. Releasing people is not weakness, it is wisdom. Your energy is too valuable to spend on those who make you question your worth. Love should be mutual and freely given, not earned through sacrifice or silence. If your presence is not enough, no effort will ever be. Those who truly value you will feel your absence. If they return, it will be because they have grown and recognized your value, not because you persuaded them. What is real will remain. What is not will fade, making room for something better. Letting go creates space for people who align with your spirit, values, and heart, those who match the energy you have been giving all along. Walking away does not mean you have lost. It means you are strong enough to stop settling. You are not here to be tolerated. You are here to be respected, valued, and loved fully. When you stop chasing, you begin choosing peace over confusion, yourself over their comfort, and relationships where you do not have to disappear to be seen. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Stop granting all access to those who only appear when it is convenient. Protect your life like it matters, because it does. Be intentional with your heart, your time, your mind, and your energy. Allowing people who do not align with your values only invites noise, doubt, and distraction. Those who do not respect you will create conflict. Those who do not understand you may challenge your authenticity, not to support your growth, but to make you doubt yourself. There is a difference between being open and being unguarded. Be kind and compassionate, but also protect your boundary. Not everyone is meant to stay. Some people are lessons, not lifelines. Once the lesson is learned, release them without guilt or lengthy explanation. That is not coldness, it is self-respect. In time, they may recognize what they once overlooked, and if they are truly meant to be part of your life, they will return, not because you chased them, but because they came to understand your value on their own. That kind of return is meaningful, built on clarity and growth, not pressure or persuasion. There is peace in knowing you do not need to force what is genuine. What is real will remain. What is not will fade, making room for something better. Letting people leave creates space for those who align with your values, your heart, and your spirit. People who will not falter when you show your true self. People who will stand with you when life is difficult. People who will meet you with the same energy and consistency you have been offering all along.